So we talk about cultural change. It's very easy to say, but I mean, that must be hugely difficult, isn't it? I mean, what is cultural change? What do organisations need to do, and how would you be able to help someone do that?
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, culture change is trying to change the beliefs and behaviours in the organisation towards ones that are going to be the ones that you want to thrive, right? Okay, so that makes it sound simple. It's really not simple. It is a system of sort of beliefs and habits that have become really deeply ingrained over the years. If you're a long-standing firm. Yeah. So if you want to change that, I mean, the first thing that you do before you even start thinking about what does my change program look like is that you think about your case for change. Okay, so a lot of firms will sometimes go into, they won't undertake a really big IT project without doing a really thorough cost-benefit analysis, right? And really justifying why do we need to do this, okay? But often the same organisation will go into a culture change program without really thinking through why is this an imperative for this firm? Yes. Yeah. So in some ways it's going back to the thing I was talking about at the start, what are the different reasons you might want to do a culture change? Maybe your culture isn't supporting your performance, maybe you want to merge, maybe you've grown and it's all fraying at the edges a bit and you want to have more of a sense of unity and so on. So you need to have a fairly strong case for culture change. And not just the why do we need to do this, but why do we need to do it now? So really have an honest sort of look at what the challenges are and the opportunities, and then to make a really clear case to people about why does culture change fix this? How is it going to fix this and support it? So first of all, make the case, okay, and get the engagement around that and the buy-in, okay. So that's the first bit, okay. Then when you actually start to do the work on culture change, the first step after you've made the case and engaged people is to start not with where you want to get to, but where you are starting from. So I'm Irish. One of the expressions we have is somebody's trying to go somewhere, you go like, well, I wouldn't start from here, right? Yeah. You need to know where you're starting from, okay? So it's the first step really is to understand your existing culture. Okay, so you want to, like I said, lots of firms might not have articulated their values. They might not really be clear about, how would we express it and so on. So the first step is to understand what your values are. And you can look at, I have a whole process for finding that out. So, you look at typical behaviours in the organisation. Why do people behave this way? And you get to those sort of shared beliefs. Yeah. And then you want to find out, well, what are your core values? So the ones that you'd really want to lie under a train for, the ones that you're not prepared to change, at the drop of a hat. And which ones are strong as well. So you're looking to really kind of try and find out what are your current values, and you're also trying to find out about the strength of your culture. So the strong culture, the values are genuinely shared and people believe in them and they act according to those values. In a weak culture, it's not so much. The values aren't necessarily shared. So if somebody goes off and does something that's not really aligned with sort of the values, that nobody pulls them up on it, you can go off and do your own thing. It all looks a little bit more disparate, okay? So you want to try and find that out as well. So what are your values and how strong is your culture? And once you've understood that, you're in a much better position to start looking about, well, where do we want to get to?
So organisations tend to focus on what we call the hard levers, profitability. Why is it that organisations find this conversation around culture hard? Is it because they're unaware of it, or is it because it's difficult, they don't really want to go there, they know it's difficult, the cultural issues are a challenge, and they'd rather talk about financial performance instead?
I think it is difficult. And sometimes I think culture change is used more generally as an excuse sort of not to do anything. People, here in the UK, people will say something like, oh, the culture in government or the culture in the police or something like that. It's the culture, it needs culture change. But that's sort of who knows how to do culture change? So it just kind of is a sort of a catch-all for not acting.
The expression I hear the whole time is we're collegial. And it's almost as if the word collegiality is a lack of accountability. The culture becomes the excuse for not changing, for not going towards high performance, whatever that high performance is.
Yes, I think that's right. And I think that that is another thing, that people often see culture a bit too narrowly. So they will see it solely around the, the collegiality, the being nice to people, being often avoiding difficult conversations and those sorts of things. But it's just about the niceness or the well-being, things like that. The thing is, your culture is about everything you do. So, and if you look at some top organisations outside of professional services, some of them don't even mention how they treat each other or treat their people in their values statements. They'll all be about customer focus, or if it's like American Express, it's all about customer service. Yeah. If it's like a 3M, it's about innovation. It's Apple, it's about product. And that kind of thing. So it's about it's not necessarily always about just the people. And in fact, in a law firm or any professional services firm, I think it's fair enough to have some values around the individual, how you treat people, and so on. But I mean, there will almost certainly be values around clients and sort of the nature of the work and those sorts of things. And if you don't have those, then you're missing something.